and welcome to the Dynasty Show. Solo dolo today, boys and girls. So just me tonight, your boy Stevie B, and we've got a couple of things to talk about tonight. Actually, we're gonna do a rookie draft a little later on in about an hour or so. So we'll do a rookie draft. We'll go over that, and in the meantime, before that, any questions you guys have, trades that you guys are thinking about, throw them in the chat there so I can get to them. And today we're going to talk about some players that might lose some value or have some chances of losing value with this NFL draft coming up, whose stock can go down from this NFL draft, the results of that. So we'll go over a bunch of that. Derek, what's good? Marty in the building. What up, Marty? Josh, what up, Josh? What's good, you guys? We're getting closer and closer to this NFL draft. Have you guys been able to make any trades lately, or trade any draft picks for that matter? Trade for any draft picks or gave away any draft picks? How has that been looking? Because it's been extremely difficult to acquire any kind of first round pick right now, in most dynasty leagues I'm seeing. And even trying to trade out, like, the depth is really good where it's hard even to kind of try and trade out a little bit, where people aren't willing to pay, what you would want them to pay to move back a little bit. Like, I've got the 102, the 105, the 107 in a few leagues, and trying to move back has been really difficult because people are just like, I'll just take whatever's there. Like, I don't want to move up and pay XYZ. So it's been a little hard. Elite, what up? Elite, chaotic, what's up? Diaz, what up, Diaz? 12 teams start 10 Superflex PPR. Got some bonuses in there. Okay, yep, I like that. 2 points. Give Joku, Gibson, and Mims. Get the 112, 209, and 212. Joku, Gibson, and Mims. I'm okay with it. I mean, you're giving up Joku, you're giving up a running back, Mims. I mean, I'm okay with the picks. And more importantly, what can you do with the picks? I mean, are you just making those picks, or because it's hard to get off of Gibson? Like, nobody's willing to pay for Gibson right now. So being able that you're able to get a second for him, even Mims, and then with Joku too, like, you're still getting a first for Joku. Like, I'll still take it. You're getting a first and 2 seconds. Maybe you can use that to move up a couple spots with whatever else you got. But yeah, I'll take it. Give me the package of the picks. I'll take the package of the picks there. The COVID year come into play in any of your player decisions? Yeah, I mean, it's hard because not a lot of people really played the COVID year. Some guys didn't. Some of them only played a few games. So, I mean, you don't really take that into consideration. Obviously, there's nothing that we can do about that. So maybe some guys that are coming out a little later than maybe they should have because we missed that year. But no, you can't hold that against any of these guys. Oh yeah, I'll definitely trade out for any rando first. If you can trade the 112 for any random first, yeah. I mean, what's the chance? Like, what's the worst that's gonna happen? You get the 112 again next year. So yeah, I'm with taking that chance. I'll take that chance. Anything from like the 109 down, pretty much. 109, 110, 111, 112. Do you really love any of those guys that's going to be there, or would you rather just take like a 25 first, just a random 25 first? There's chances next year that's a better pick. So I do like that idea rather than trying to make the bet. Nah, Jamie, you're not late. We're not doing the draft yet. We got about an hour or so, 50 minutes or so before we get into the rookie draft. We actually do have a spot open, so let me throw the link in. So whoever is not in, if you want to get in, there is one spot left. And we'll get to that. I'm not going off of a mock draft tonight. We're just going to do a rookie draft. I just kind of want to see where everybody's at with their values pretty much. So next week we'll go off a mock draft as we're getting closer. I mean, damn, we are crazy close now. But a lot's going to happen. A lot always does happen with the NFL draft coming. And that's why we're going to talk about today some players that may take a hit. So who are some guys maybe that we might want to get off of before this NFL draft gets here? All right, we filled it up. Perfect. Elite hopped in. All right, nice. All right, so yeah, we got about 50 minutes till we start getting into that. I mean, everybody's in there, so I might as well just rando it real quick. All right, boom. So it's randomed. We're ready to go. We're ready to go in a little bit. I know using the mocks is a good exercise, and maybe we'll just do some more outside of doing it live tonight, but I want to see where everybody's at. But yeah, as the NFL draft is coming, I mean, most of the time we hate like the running backs, right? It's hard for you to bet on some of the running backs now because of all these guys coming in, like who's going to get drafted where. You know, we saw it with Kenneth Walker, obviously, and Charbs. Obviously, that hurt. But who's it going to be this year? Is anybody going to make their stock go down by their team drafting a running back? So, and not only that, even wide receivers, right? Could there be some wide receivers that are out there that their stock might fall with their team drafting a wide receiver? I don't know if I'll be live for the draft. I'm not 100% sure yet, so I'll keep you updated. But yeah, I'm not sure if I'll do it, if I'll go live or not. It depends. But yeah, let's talk about some guys that might take a little bit of a hit with this draft that's coming up. $1.75 tight end premium for what? For the rookie draft? I mean, we could play it that way if you want. Bogey, what's up, Bogey? Right, let's talk about some of these guys that may take a hit. And the first guy that I'm going to talk about. Oh, damn, I had it all set up. First guy that we're going to talk about is actually a wide receiver. There's been a lot of mock drafts with a wide receiver going to this particular team. This particular team might not be a pass-heavy offense, and they just re-signed a really good wide receiver to their team. But we're talking about Josh Downs. You've got Michael Pittman over there. What are the Colts going to do? Are they going to wind up drafting another wide receiver? You've seen a bunch of like Brian Thomas's going to the Colts, right? We've seen a bunch of wide receivers being mocked there that they might take a wide receiver. So is that going to take a hit on Josh Downs, where a lot of people are calling him a little bit of a sleeper this year, which he could be, but does he get nuked by some of these guys in the draft if they wind up taking somebody, especially early, like taking a round 1 or round 2, wide receiver? So I think with passing with Anthony Richardson, Josh Downs could be, he could be a guy that takes a little bit of a hit if they wind up getting somebody in the NFL draft. And his value is not crazy high where, like, if they don't get somebody, you can still pretty much buy him for relatively cheap. But yeah, that would absolutely kill Downs for me. And hopefully he survives it, but he might not. Especially if they get somebody early. So what can you even sell them for at this point with like the deep draft? I mean, if you can grab any kind of mid-second, I'd probably take a mid-second, late second even. Like if you can get any kind of second round pick and just kind of re-roll it, see what you can do. Because you can probably buy for the same price if he doesn't get nuked, but once he does, you ain't getting anywhere near a second. So get rid of Josh Downs if you do have him. Let me know how you guys feel. You guys going after Josh Downs, or do you feel like it really could hurt him if somebody winds up going there? Marty said that would kill Downs. I don't trust Downs. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard, especially with Anthony Richardson, because you have to take in the quarterback situation. It's not like, you've got Joe Burrow back there throwing the football. You've got a running quarterback. You've got JT in the backfield as well. So you got to think about that also. Like, how many passes really is Anthony Richardson going to throw? And then with Pittman being the main guy, I mean, what are we really looking at for a Josh Downs, especially if they wind up drafting somebody else? Because Alec Pierce ain't nothing. He can be replaced easily, but if they can get somebody else on the other side from, Michael Pittman, I think that would be really good. Ryan, what's up, Ryan? Thoughts on sending Ayuk and ETN for Tyreek and the 108? Win now roster, wide receivers would be Tyreek, CD, Amon-Ra, DJ Moore, Olave, Dell. Then probably take running back of my choice at the 108, whoever Dallas drafts, maybe. That's true. I mean, is it super flex or is it 1 QB? But yeah, I mean, you're getting the 108 and you're getting Tyreek. I mean, you already have some young guys and you have young core guys that are elite, like CD, Amon-Ra. And then you still have DJ Moore. You've got Olave, you've got Dell. So you've got a good, like, young core. And then, like, I'm fine with giving up Ayuk, getting a veteran guy like Tyreek because of that production. Like, you're fine, because even after Tyreek's gone, you still have plenty of value on your team to move around, and adjust your roster. So yeah, give me Cheetah and the 108 for sure over the Ayuk and ETN. And I feel that because whoever Dallas drafts, most likely that will be the first RB that comes off the board. Song, what's up, Song? Ghost Monkey in the building. What up, Ghost Monkey? Marty, yeah, send over your roster, Marty. Try and get into that. Generally speaking, would you rather have CMC or Tyreek? It's a good one. I mean, CMC, that's such like a positional advantage. I mean, how many more years are we getting out of both of these guys? That's tough. I think it just depends what you need. I mean, typically I hate the running backs, but I might take CMC. I might take CMC over Reek. I don't know. Generally speaking, it's just tough to not go with the wide receiver. But since they're both old and you're talking about getting a couple years, I mean, whatever my team needs, really, it's hard to just pick one over the other. I'm more of a team need strategy wise, so it just depends what I need. CMC, Marty said, yeah. Yeah, for sure, Jamie. I'm with that. Taking that trade, unless Bowers or Odunze falls to the 108. We'll see where some of these guys go, right? Like, does Odunze still wind up going to like the Bears? And then you've got, all three of those guys now, Keenan Allen, Odunze, and DJ Moore. Like, what happens then? Speaking of, I mean, why we're on DJ Moore is another guy that could take a hit. He's another guy that could take a hit in his stock if they wind up, drafting like an Odunze, if they wind up drafting a top wide receiver. Now you've got three guys there. It already, I don't know if it necessarily hurt him with Keenan Allen going there just because of like how old Keenan Allen is, but it definitely stings like a little bit. But then when you add in another like elite top wide receiver that we're expecting, like, the DJ Moore stock is going to wind up going down. So, can you get out now after a monster season that DJ Moore had, where he finished wide receiver 6, 96 catches for 1,364 yards, 8 touchdowns? Like, is that the ceiling for DJ Moore? we talk about selling and buying in the right times. Is this that time? Like, how much can we expect a top 6 season again from DJ Moore? I don't know. Like, so can you cash out on some of that value, or people that still value him extremely high? Can you cash out on that and get some assets on top to something a little more safe? Because like I said, if Odunze goes there, that's it. People are going to be all up on the young wide receiver, and you'll be basically, dismissing DJ Moore almost at that point. And you could almost argue it's a sell right now, but then it's a buy if they do get Odunze. Like, are you getting them for just a cheaper price at that point? Give me Odunze equal to Moore. Yeah, for sure. Like, Odunze is already being ranked as a top 20, like, dynasty wide receiver coming in. Now you're linking him up with like a rookie quarterback in Caleb. Keenan, we don't know how long he's going to wind up being there for, but now you've got 2 guys. Now you've got another, like, what? I don't want to say Jamar Chase and T. Higgins situation, but AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, but you've got 2 like pretty good wide receivers. Who's going to be the alpha in that? Is it Odunze or is it Moore? Because Odunze is will be nice, typical kind of like X out there. If I were a Moore owner, I'd cash out. Yeah, I mean, of course, that's what we want to do. And it's not that we hate the players. Like, don't take it the wrong way. Like, I don't like DJ Moore. I love DJ Moore. I've liked DJ Moore for a long time. I mean, he's produced solid wide receiver 2 numbers with straight garbage quarterback play for his whole career, basically. So I do like DJ Moore, but with the price, is it time to cash out? Like, we have to play it like the stock market, right? It's a currency. Like, they're being valued too high. Get off at that particular time. We want to buy low and we want to sell high. That's what we want to do. We want to pick up assets so we can keep our team moving in the right direction. I mean, these second round picks, these third round picks, it's not all about making those picks and hitting on those picks. It's just about the value that they have. What can you move for those picks? What can you add to your team? Can you buy some of these veterans? Someone offered me the 111 and 30 more for DJ Moore. I laughed at him and went him a counter for the 106. Yeah, I mean, I want more than the 111 and the 304 for DJ Moore for sure. I'll just keep him for that price. But yeah, definitely, if you could grab the 106. Who would you want if Neighbors goes to Chicago, Odunze goes to Jacksonville? That's tough. That's tough. That is tough. I mean, I feel like Neighbors and DJ Moore have like a similar-ish type style, but you probably want to go with Odunze because I feel like he can be the automatic alpha. Like, right, you still have DJ Moore there in Chicago, even if Neighbors goes there. Like, who's the alpha? And you're somewhat capped. Like, Odunze then has the chance to be the real, like, number 1 for Jacksonville. Like, yes, you do have still Christian Kirk. You still have Evan Ingram, but you've got a young wide receiver that can kind of grow with your quarterback there. So that's tough. That's tough. I probably would go I probably would go Odunze just for the fact that, yeah, DJ Moore is there. And I feel like more people might like that Odunze move where he's kind of, you don't have the DJ Moore across from him. So people might value Odunze more if that happens. What do you guys think? Because they're relatively like the same for me. Neighbors, Odunze, pick your poison. But when it comes down to the situation, which situation do you like better? Neighbors going to the Giants. I mean, that sucks because they don't have a quarterback, but right, situations change, right? It's not always about the situation. Now, situation is very important, but like, I would say more so for the elite players, the situation isn't as important because most of the time they wind up, pulling through or shining. But if you're not an elite player, the situation or the elite of the elite, the situation definitely does matter a ton. Chris, what up, Chris? I think we've got it filled now. Let me see. No, it looks like we got another spot. Let me throw it out there again. Copy link. I'll throw the link out there again. So hop in. Looks like there's one spot open. So whoever gets in first. 111 and 112 equal DJ Moore in a start 11, start 12 roster. Yeah, depending how deep you're going. Start 8, start 9. I want to do Zay over Moore. I could get with that. All we want to do is win. Fuck value. Give me championships. Moving more for unproven rookies is not a championship move. It's not. Well, you're looking at it more as just like player for player. But if you want to win championships, you want to accrue value, right? You can't just have an old ass team with no value. Like what happens when all those guys are done? Like now, where do you go from there? Now you have a bunch of old guys. You've got nobody to build around. So, the more that you can accrue value, the better off and the more opportunities you have to improve your team over the long haul. Right? You've got to have value to move around. Like we're talking about DJ Moore. Let me pull up rankings real quick. DJ Moore, wide receiver, like 19 right now. Right? Can I move from DJ Moore to like a Michael Pittman and pick up some kind of second round pick or something on top? DK Metcalf, Zay Flowers, maybe get a first for that. Right? And then like what does that turn into, or what can that turn into? Even just a second round pick. Maybe you have a couple seconds. Now you have a couple seconds to play with, and you go out, you have Michael Pittman now instead of DJ Moore. You also have a couple picks to play with. You go out and buy Mike Evans for a couple seconds. And now you're building a championship team because of the value that you have and that you can move around. So that's why we want to accrue value, because we can shape our team into a championship team because we can move around whatever we want. Right? If you've got all your value in just like these older players, I mean, what do you do then at that point once they get old? Or what if you've got all your value in running backs and then they get hurt? Now what? Now what happened with that value? You can't do much for your team. Like if you want to win, you want to continuously build value because you can do whatever you want with value. Especially now, like that we're at the draft. Everybody's got rookie fever, right? Everybody's talking about the rookies. So, can you take advantage? It's not always about just, is this player going to be better? It's no, what can I move this player for? Patriots draft Marvin Harrison Jr., Cardinals draft Neighbors. Who you taking 101? Woof. That's tough. It might be Neighbors at that point, right? I mean, I think they're close enough. I don't know if there's a big enough gap to just say, no, we have to take Marvin there. I think a lot of people in the community are going to just take Neighbors instead. You're in a situation with the quarterback, and we know how important that is. How far off do you have Neighbors of Marvin, really? Jamie said answer Neighbors. All right, Chris said he's got a problem. He's got the 104, 107, 109, 302, 202, 302. My bad. Coming off a ship. Okay. Congrats on the ship. Good shit. 1 QB league. Not sure who to take at 104. Could possibly be Bowers, but I have Mayer and McBride. Who would you take? Yeah, I mean, you have to move those other guys if you wind up taking Bowers, but I don't know, because I don't know who's going to be on the board. You can say easily like 1, 2, and 3 if you automatically know it's going to be like Marvin Neighbors and Odunze, which it probably should be. Can it be a running back then at 104? Like, could it be, Benson? Could it be Brooks? Whoever goes to the Cowboys, Chargers? Like, you just don't know exactly what's gonna happen yet. So it's hard to say like should be taking this guy at 104 no matter what. I think you have to wait and see how it plays out. But what does the rest of your team look like? Do you even have to make this pick at 104? You've got the 107, you've got the 109. Can you, put together some kind of package? 104 and one of your wide receivers and tier up. 107 and one of your wide receivers and tier up. 109 and one of your running backs and tier up. Like, you don't have to make these picks, especially in a 1 QB league where typically 1 QB leagues are not that many starters. So let me know how many starters there are maybe. But I'd be, looking to move really those picks, especially if people value them in your league. Probably go Dunze up. I know. We definitely need the landing spots, man. We definitely need the landing spots for sure. Marvin Neighbors or Dunze Bowers all in the same tierish. Yep. Yeah, we want to win for years. Exactly. We want to win for years. Yep. You overvalue youth. Depends on the situation, but the community overvalues youth. So why not take advantage? Why not take advantage of that? And like I said, I'm not just saying trade DJ Moore for, any rookie, but if you're getting one of those top 3 guys, I mean, it's fair to say that those guys they're going to hold value pretty well in the same range as a DJ Moore, if not more, just because they're young and people have that perception. So, but like I said, can I move off to like a Michael Pittman or, something like that? Pick up a pick on top and then use that pick to make my team better. I mean, you can't tell me that the difference between Michael Pittman and DJ Moore is going to cost you your league, especially if you're able to get, like I said, if you're able to stock up some picks. Can you go out and get like a Mike Evans? Now you've got Pittman and Mike Evans instead of just a DJ Moore. But you didn't want the pick and Pittman because you didn't know, what that player was going to be with that second round pick. You don't have to make the picks, guys. Don't forget. DJ Moore, 14 to 17. Yeah, he's going to move up and down in that range with all those other guys. Marvin Neighbors and Dunze could potentially all outscore DJ Moore. This is true too. Win now. We do want to win now. We're not saying to not win now and take young guys, but if DJ Moore is going to be the reason why you win or lose the ship, like you're probably not winning the ship if DJ Moore is going to be the difference. So, we do want to win now, which is why we make these trades. We move up and down in these tiers. You like DJ Moore so much, that's fine. Here you go. Take DJ Moore. Give me Pittman in the second. That's fine. Now what can I do with that second? Right? What can I add to my team so that my team is getting better now? We're building for now and for the future. If Neighbors are doing say Marvin Harrison all go off the board, should I take Bowers or go QB? I have Bryce and Kyler, or should I shift to BTJ? No, I mean, you have Kyler, so I'm not like, you don't have to rush to take a quarterback there. So just see what it plays out, see who's on the board, or like I said, start just tearing up. Add those picks onto some of the players that you have and see what wide receivers that you can go get. This is a situation where you can go buy guys because you have so many picks. You don't have to make all those. That's right, Jamie. Can't do nothing without value. Value, I can shape the team exactly how I want. Don't get caught holding the bag on old players, because if you do, you end up with nothing and starting completely over. Yes, that's absolutely right. I mean, you see it all the time with some of like these orphan teams. Most of these orphan teams, you've got like no draft picks and you've got all these older players on your team. And how do you fix that now when you can't even get a second round pick for guys like DeAndre Hopkins right now? So we're not just coming off players and destroying like a team. We are, we're using the value to build more on the team. How do you feel about Gus if the Chargers draft like a 4th round running back? I mean, Gus is Gus. Like, what are we really expecting from Gus? Like, can he bang in a bunch of tutties? Like, yes. Will he have some good games? Yes. But what is he realistically? Probably an RB2. And we hope for that. But we know we're not getting like years out of Gus. Like, I don't think anybody should be thinking like you're getting a few years out of Gus. So, and most of the time, rookies kind of get integrated in rather slowly anyway. So, I think Gus will still be kind of like somewhat of the main dude, but for sure, if they draft somebody, automatically that value is going to go down. So he is a guy, of course, that can lose some value. Um, and I'd be probably looking to just buy for absolutely like nothing at that point, if that happens. But yeah, guys like McCaffrey, Tyreek won more championships than Garrett Wilson's. I agree with you 100%. That's pure fact, of course. And there's nothing against those type of guys, but like there's a right time to have those guys on your team, and there's a time not to. That's just and also depends on right, the format, right? The format matters, of course, too. In some of these smaller formats like start eights and one QBs, like yes, you need those hammers. So you need those older guys. Those younger guys don't mean much, and most of those draft picks, those guys will never touch your starting lineup when you're in a shallow league. But we're not trying to win championships with Garrett Wilson. Like, Tyreek, Kelsey, McCaffrey, those are the guys like that you don't want to necessarily draft those guys, right? You want to draft a nice young core team. And there's a million different ways that you can go about dynasty and how you want to draft. But like, I want to buy these guys when they're older. Like when I have the young core of guys like Garrett Wilson on my team, and, Jalen Waddle or London, and like, then I want some of these heavy hitter dudes like that. I can afford to have that value and let that value die on my team because I can use that production. But you can't have a team of all Tyreek, Kelsey, McCaffrey, D Hop. Like, you're good for one season, and then you're done. And if you're content with just trying to win for that one season, then that's fine. But there's a lot of things that go wrong in fantasy, right? We saw last year with all the quarterbacks getting injured. Like, there's a lot of things that can go wrong, even if you have one of the best teams and have these guys on your team. So there's a balance between like what you want to do, for sure. It's not just all about the young guys. You can't just have all a young team and expect to win a championship. You're gonna need some veterans. You're gonna need some guys that give you points week in and week out. So always make trades during the rookie draft. Get the most value out of players and picks. Yeah, especially once we know where these guys are landing, there's going to be, especially after what we saw last year, right? What we saw last year with Tank Dell, with Puka Nacua, like a lot of people are going to value these 3rd round picks, these 4th round picks. They're going to want to take some of these late wide receivers, right? These late running backs, and they're willing to, give up some production to go and take a chance on some of these guys. So for sure, move up and down in your rookie drafts. Buy veterans if you can. All right, Kidda, we're buying veterans if we can with some of these rookie picks. Getting some of that production, just taking advantage of people really loving some of these rookies, especially these later round picks. Nobody's trading Pittman for DJ. You'd be surprised how many people might trade Pittman for DJ Moore plus. I mean, DJ Moore for Pittman plus. That was just one example. You can use any of those guys because that whole tier, everybody values them differently. Tier basically from like wide receiver 10 to wide receiver 30 almost. A lot of those guys, it's just your preference of what you like better. You can use T. Higgins, Nico Collins, DK Metcalf, Zay Flowers, Tank Dell. I mean, Pickens, whoever you want. Can I tier down and pick up an asset on top of it? Because what's the chances DJ Moore's giving us another top 12 season? I mean, I just don't want to make that bet. I'll take a wide receiver too, and be absolutely fine taking whatever plus I can get on top. You know, I've traded Jalen Waddle in some of the hustler leagues. I've traded Jalen Waddle for Pittman and a first, for you know, Godwin and a first, or those pick, or who else was it? I traded Hawkinson for somebody in a first, and those first turns out to be top 2 picks in the rookie draft. You just never know what is going to happen. And look at the production that I got out of Pittman last year compared to Waddle, right? You just want to play the market. That's all. We want to play the market. Chris said start 10. Okay. Kyler Bryce. Bijan, Brees, Amir White, Devonta, CD, London, Pickens. Yeah, so you got a pretty solid team. I mean, you got CD, you've got London, like you've got Devonta. Like, can we trade Devonta and the 107? Or I don't remember the picks that you had exactly. Can we trade Devonta and that first round pick? Can we go get Chase, Amon-Ra, JJ, any one of those top 4 guys? Like, same thing with Pickens. Can we get up there somewhere? Or even to a top 15-ish guy with Pickens. Right? Drake London. You know, can you go get you Amon-Ra or JJ or Chase adding on top of that? You know, you don't know the picks I would use to just kind of cheer up in this situation. Like, you've got Brees, you've got Bijan, like you've got a good team. You got CD, you got McBride already, you got Mayer. I would just use them to cheer up, honestly, if you could, before I just decide I'm going to just make all those picks. I mean, you think it's a losing move until that's the, you know, a top 3, top 5 pick. You know, it's not always just about the player. It's just about, you know, what can you do with those? What can you do with those picks, right? I love guys like this. They sell everything future-wise. Then when their contender fails and their team is old and crusty, no one wants to trade with them, and all of a sudden need to cut leagues. Yep. That happens all the times where you see all these orphans. Mystic. What's up, Mystic? 12-team Superflex, start 11. All right. 1.5 tight end premium, 101, 106, or Amon-Ra and the 111. I know the answer is 101, but I need wide receivers, and I need someone to tell me. 101 and the 106, or Amon-Ra and the 111. I mean, how bad is your team? Like, if you need to, can you break up? Are you able to break up the 101 into a couple more picks? I mean, 101 and 106 is pretty. That's pretty good. You need wide receivers. Need wide receivers. Yeah, can we cut up the 101 like into a few other picks, or? But yeah, I'll take the 101 side. Ride the fine line of win now while also having cornerstone assets. Of course, you have to have the cornerstone assets because you've got nothing to turn to when things fail. You know, when your veterans get hurt or don't perform, or it's just the time is over for them, you know, you need to have something to fall back on to still, you know, get your team in place. You know, now you can, if you have one of those cornerstone wide receivers, like, and your team goes to shit, you decided to go all in on, you know, some of these old players. Now you could at least break that guy down, right? You can break that guy down into multiple assets to try and improve your team. Where if you just have a bunch of old dudes and no cornerstone young assets, you've got absolutely nowhere to go. And you have to hit on every single pick. Explain to me why it's so common to see orphan teams win first year. I don't know what orphan teams are winning in the first year, but Jalen Wright on the Chargers to pair with Gus, that'll be nice. Jalen Wright anywhere would be fucking nice, really. I mean, CJ 2K, Eckler type running back. Yeah, I like Wright. I think he's definitely going to find himself a role somewhere as some kind of RB2 committee guy, third down pass catcher, or more. Benson, Brookton, right? Yep. We'll see where they wind up going. But dude, you've got Bijan and Brees. Like, you're not hurting for a running back. Like, do you really want like Benson or Brooks or Wright that much where like you'd have that over like a JJ or a Chase on your team instead? So see what you can do with those picks before you just decide to just make them all. DJ Mass, really, DJ. Jamie, 101, 106, take Marvin Harrison and Odunze. If you can get both of those guys, yeah, for sure. But you could even break that down more, like, if you have to. You need wide receivers. It's a start 11. Like, what can we break down that 101 into? What can we break down the 101 into to get us some wide receivers, especially in the start 11? So, kid, I know what your build looks like, and I know you are need to have production. I don't know what you're gonna do in one of these hustle leagues. You got a bunch of old guys with like no value, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens this season, and that's the thing. Like, there's no wrong way to play Dynasty, right? There's no wrong way to play. If you're content with like winning for one season and then being shit for like a few seasons, that's fine. That's cool. If that's the thing, if that's what you like to do, that's fine. But for me, like, I like to be able to compete for long periods of time. I never want to be under that, that threshold of not being like a top 6 team, in a 12-team league. Like, I want to be up there, or at least in the middle where I have assets and I've got ways to move. I've got things to do. So this motherfucker pop pipe. I don't know. Overall dynasty rankings, Marvin is top 5, Neighbors top 10, Odunze top 15 for sure. And they're going to be safe wide receivers. Like, we've talked about this before, like the Garrett Wilsons, the Olaves. Like we I don't want to say make excuses, but the situations around them aren't great and they still have high value. JSN, right? Still has somewhat of a high enough value where you can use him to tier up. You can move off of him, like, because of the situation. Like, we'll make excuses because we know how good these guys really are. And because we believe in it. So, he's going to be safe, whether he does great this year or not. We'll just say, hey, well, this was the situation, so we got to give him a little bit of a pass. And that's what makes the rookie draft so interesting, especially at the top, because are people just going to take the wide receivers and not give a shit and not take a chance on some of these quarterbacks like the Drake Mays, the Jaden Daniels, the JJs, the Penixes? Like, are people just going to say, fuck that, I'm not getting burnt, especially after last season with, Bryce Young, with Anthony Richardson getting hurt, like, so it is, it's going to be interesting how a lot of these drafts play out. And you're probably going to see a lot of people take more wide receivers now than some of the quarterbacks, even in Superflex. Like, for me, I mean, you can go either way, Caleb or Marvin at 101, but I still prefer Caleb. Like, he's still the quarterback. My league is blocking me out of trading out of 101. They need a wide receiver. They don't think I have the balls to draft Caleb and have 3 QB1s. They know that's the tough part. That's the other part. That's the other side of trading that we don't talk about. Like, we talk about what players are worth. We talk about like what we'd give up or what we want to give up, what we want to pay, but we don't talk about like that other aspect of it, like that other chess game of it, of like, okay, what does this guy need? Like, how can I take advantage of this? Like, am I just going to play chicken with him and say, fuck it, like, you have to draft a QB? Like, Diaz knows what I'm talking about, because in the subscriber league, Diaz has got a bunch of picks. I'm sitting there at like the 107. Like, I need a QB, but he's got some QBs. You going to take 4 QBs, bro? Maybe. You going to take 4 QBs, bro? Maybe. But he's got some QBs. You going to take 4 QBs, bro? Maybe. 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 You going to take 4 QBs, bro? Maybe If he does, then fuck it. Or am I just going to take the chance and say, all right, maybe he's just going to drop one to me? Like, we'll see what happens on that day. But sometimes that's how you just have to think of it, how you have to play it. So if you desperately need a wide receiver, like Marvin is just so good that like I'd be okay with taking him at the 101. There's not a huge drop off like Caleb, Marvin. Like you can go either way. So I don't think it's as bad particularly. And like that's the other thing. If you do draft Caleb and you do have 3 QB1s, like are people still going to be wanting to trade with you? Like, can you move Caleb for still like good assets? Like, what if you do just take Caleb and say, fuck it? Like, are they going to still block you out and say, fuck it, now you've got stuck with the 3 QBs? Because even if that's the case, like you still have the slight advantage. Like you're still holding 3 QB1s. Like, so you have the advantage pretty much almost every matchup that you play. Because who's matching up to your QBs? Stroud, Burrow, AJ Brown, Puka, Amon-Ra, Flowers, Nico, Watson, Mooney, JSN, Bijan, Cook, Pacheco, Chase Brown, Kincaid, Hawk, Mayer. Took me 10 years to get here. A lot of stupid decisions and trial and error. Okay, is that that's one of your squads? Nice. Nice. But you have value. You have guys that you are building around. You don't even need JSN to produce right now. Like you got AJ Brown, you got Puka, you got Amon-Ra, you got Flowers. Wait till the draft day. The hype will get them. Absolutely. For sure. 100%. It always does every single year. And that's why we like to stock up on some of these picks too. Like I've got a bunch of thirds, a bunch of fourths. I'm not making all those picks, right? The hit percentages are not great, but somebody's going to want them. Can I move them out to next year? So now I've got some ammunition to make trades during the season. Oh, and you have Ford. Okay, well, Ford's another guy. Does he get nuked with the draft? I mean, do they wind up drafting a running back? Like, does his value go down a little bit? I mean, I know we got Chubb coming back, but are they really giving him a ton of carries? Can we trust Chubb is ready? You have 2 players in that league. What's my squad in that league, bro? I think it's the 22. I've got CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase, JSN, Ferguson, Joku. I got Aaron Rodgers and Watson at QB. And I've got the 101, 102, 110, 201. So I've got some picks to play with. I got Caleb to add. I got Marvin to add. I mean, now you're talking about CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase, and Marvin Harrison, or Neighbors, or Odunze. Let's see where these guys ends up. But yeah, I'm just I'm building up my squad. And then if we look at your squad, I mean, Pickens, Lockett, Thielen, you got Pitts, okay, Connor, Mostert, like you got some old dudes. You got Lamar and Burrow though, so you're pretty set. Yeah, it's not as bad as I thought, but anyways, with the 101 and the 102, we got moves. CD and Chase are absolute trash. And Chase an absolute trash, and you won weeks last year. Exactly. I did win weeks last year. So now I'm adding, 2 more elite players. I wasn't trying to win last year. That's the thing. I already knew what my squad was. I was building up for this year. What are we doing with Jameson? He's a top 5 wide receiver in rookie drafts. We knew he was injured, but still took him high. His upside when healthy is top 24. Jameson Williams is a tough one. Like he's another one that could get nuked with the draft. Did they wind up drafting a wide receiver? I mean, who else is over there? Like you've got already some good pass catchers, but you still need like another good wide receiver. Like is Jameson gonna be that guy? It's tough to sell him because nobody wants him. Like, so if you have him, you're either holding or you're getting rid of him for a lot less value than you want to. So you might as well hold him at this point. Wait for a good game and then come off at that point. Can I get a second for Jameson if he has a good game in season? It's tough because you're never going to be a wide receiver 1. Not with Amon-Ra there. Not with Laporta. Now with Gibbs. That's my only squad. Okay, you only have one team, so you're in an intimate relationship. That's how it is when you don't play in a lot of leagues. I find at least like people are more reluctant to really make moves. Because you want the guys that you want. So Peacock, what up, Peacock? Peacock said, I just recalled when you showed us the throwback picture of yourself with long hair when we were in Vegas. Yep. My orphan won't win this year. It's probably the trashiest team ever. Probably I can unload the 107 in the draft. Yeah. See what we can do with the 107 a little bit. Do we just take the pick? Somebody's going to want it once we get there, depending who's on the board. So would you trade the 202 for Swift? Would I trade the 202 for Swift? I don't want Swift. I'll take the 202. Take the 202 instead of Swift. You could probably do more with the 202 than you can with Swift, unless you can find a Swift lover. But then depends on a league too, right? I mean, if you're talking about like a 1 QB, like start 8, like, okay, give me Swift. So really just depend. I don't think, especially I see like on Instagram all the time too, or even YouTube. Like I think that people really, really underestimate the value of knowing the format. Like how many starters is it? Is it super flex? Is it 1 QB? Because like you've got people out here asking questions and people answering questions, and you don't know the format. You don't know how many starters. You don't know if it's 1 QB or super flex, and people are just throwing out answers. And that's a way that you can just destroy your team if you're not like letting people know what what the format is, because it's very different from like a start 8 1 QB to a start 10 start 11 super flex. Like the values are drastically different. Who you can start is drastically different. Yeah, 1 QB. I mean, second round. I might hold Swift for that. I might hold Swift for that. But we're a couple minutes away. We'll get to, let me pull up this draft real quick. We didn't even talk about, I guess we'll talk after a little bit. Can you trade in a mock on Sleeper? I don't think so. I don't think there's like a trade option there. I don't think so. Unless somebody knows something I don't. All right. All right, that should be big enough for everybody to see up there. Looks like Brian got the 101 there. See if I can wait till I see some more of these green dots up here. But yeah, I mean, what do you guys think about the 101? Like in super flex, like is it automatically the quarterback for you? Are you okay with taking Marvin? Because like what's his name said before, like I'm finding it a little hard to trade back, like from the 101 or the 102. Like finding people with multiple picks has been kind of multiple firsts has been hard. But like the people with like the 103, 104, even 105 are like, nah, I'll just stay where I'm at. Like they don't want to give up what it would take to move up to the 101, 102. All right, I see almost everybody's up in here, so let's get this thing started. Let's see where we're at. We'll do 4 rounds. I would be the type to make a trade in the mock. Okay, Caleb and Jaden Daniels go. Then we got Marvin coming off the board. The quarterbacks are going to be very, very interesting. I know we keep talking about that, especially if like a Penix or Bo Nix goes in the first round too. Like that's going to throw everything off. And just people are really going to value like the late first, those early seconds. So like Diaz, we were talking earlier, can you move those 111, 112s for a 25 first? Can you throw a little third on top of it or something? Get you a 25 first, for somebody that just loves whatever player's going, in that late first range. Neighbors right after, right? What running back is drafted in the second round, or do any? I mean, there's so many good like wide receivers, running backs. Like a lot of guys are going to wind up falling. Oh, my pick here. We got to go with May. We got to go with the quarterback, I guess, here. I mean, I'll go with May over McCarthy and Penix, just not knowing the landing spot, obviously. But does the landing spot change that? Right? What if McCarthy goes to the Vikings or Penix goes to the Vikings? Like, does that put them ahead of, let's say, a Drake May who might go to the Patriots? Are we just going to take JJ or Penix over Drake May because of that landing spot? But yeah, I think that probably changes things. Like I would take Penix over May or even JJ if he went to the Vikings. I mean, you've got weapons like Brock Purdy ain't the greatest, but he's got a team around him. So do you just take the better situation? Bowers, Brian Thomas. Yeah, typical top 4 wide receivers, quarterbacks. I mean, now we're in the range of like, okay, what happens with these quarterbacks of JJ, Penix, and Nix? Like, where are they getting drafted? Like, this is that spot. Like, up until basically like the 107, like that's really like the sweet spot of like you're getting you're pretty much getting a top guy. After that, it gets a little bit iffy. We'll see where Brian Thomas goes, right? Is McCarthy this year's Levis? I don't know. I mean, listen, I'm no scout or like quarterback scout at all. NFL gets it wrong most of the time too, so I really don't know. It's really just going to matter the situation, to be honest. What's the draft capital and what's the situation? McCarthy, okay. That makes sense there. But yeah, when do some of these running backs start coming off, right? If we see whoever goes to Dallas, like this might be a spot where the running back goes in the first round. Right? Brooks or Benson. Cowboys, Chargers. Been following a lot of Destination Devi and South Harmon. Yeah, I like those guys too. If a QB gets drafted within the top 5, you must take them. Oh, yeah, for sure. Even if they don't hit on average, they keep their job for 4 years. Yeah, they're going to have just that insulated value if they're going to have the job. So, for sure. Yep. Hold or get out of the asset before that year 3 comes in. Absolutely. Could be. I don't think so. JJ's 3 years younger than Levis and achieves way more in college. This is true too. I just don't know. I really don't. Ceiling is high. I mean, I don't know. Is it? But we know that quarterbacks are king. We know how hard it is to acquire a quarterback in a super flex league, especially like a top 12, top 15 guy. It is extremely difficult. You got to pay, you got to pay up to get a quarterback. It's a lot easier going to buy like wide receiver or a running back or a tight end than it is a quarterback. Okay, Worthy before Mitchell, and then you got Jonathan Brooks, Lad McConkey. See, this is where you start getting some value, where it starts to get interesting. Youngest of the top 6 QBs. Yeah, I mean, with the QBs, like I'm not crazy about the age thing with the quarterbacks, but for sure you can say that because he is so much younger that, he's still going to be growing and getting better, and I get it. Ladd, Blake McCorum, Penix goes, Benson, Nix. For me, like I think especially with what happened at the combine, like Troy Franklin is a guy that, like, I don't know where he's going to go. He can go anywhere from like the first round of the NFL draft to like the third round of the NFL draft. Like, didn't have the great combine, but he was sick. Like, we saw him like running wild on the gauntlet, like could not run the straight line. Apparently he was sick, but he did have a way better pro day, but like he's got the production to back it up. Like, he's got the profile. And it's my pick here. So we're going to take Troy Franklin. I'm sitting here talking him up. Didn't even realize he was playing college. Yeah, that's true too. I mean, what's his name? Braylon Allen's another one. He's 20 years old. Nice young running back. Malik Washington, because people are sleeping, bro. There's a lot of people that are sleeping on some of these guys. And we don't know where these guys are going yet. So, like, a lot of people are just like with the consensus of some of all these other guys. Like, I posted about a couple of running backs that I like that are, probably going to get drafted later on, like Rasheen Ali, Laub, however you say his name. With QB, you can't think about age as much. You need to look at their ability to read defenses, experience, abilities. Yep, true. Penix is a 24-year-old man playing against 18-year-old kids out of high school. Yeah, you can listen. You can go into that same. We say that about wide receivers more. Running backs as well. Some of the older guys, but I mean, Penix he's had some injuries, but he's a guy that's just interesting because he could sling the rock. Like, he could really sling the rock. He's got 2 solid years of production. And I don't think like we need to worry about the injuries anymore. For me, that's not a thing. He's not a rushing quarterback anyway, but I like that Brooks versus McConkey pick. Yeah. Listen, McConkey's good and he's probably safe. Like, where he falls obviously is going to matter a lot, like what his situation is, but like, I don't know if he necessarily has the upside of like being an actual wide receiver 1. I mean, not everybody could be a wide receiver 1. Like, there's only could be 12, and you've got guys like JJ and Chase and CD and Amon-Ra. Like, where does McConkey fall? Can he find himself in a good situation where he can be some kind of like solid wide receiver 2? I think he's got a good floor. I don't know how high the ceiling is. It could be. I mean, imagine he goes to like the Bills or the Chiefs. Like, I mean, anybody who goes to the Bills or the Chiefs, they're gonna get pushed up the board. But Marty says he's not a big super film guy, so let the NFL draft tell me what to think of these guys. Yeah, I mean, everybody has like their little process, like whatever film you want to watch and things you want to look at, like as far as breakout age and the age, the whatever year that they're coming out, are they declaring early? Like, there's a bunch of factors that obviously go into everything, and then NFL draft kind of just either confirms or denies that almost. And then you go and take a look at things and say, what did I miss, or what are they seeing? But the film is important just to look at some of the guys like that might be, you want to see the things that they can do, right? How they can get off the ball, right? Do they come back to the ball when the quarterback's in trouble? Like, can they pluck the ball out? Like, there's a lot of things to look at like on the film that you want to see as well that can help you tell. But let's see, what do we got here? Bucky, Estime, Shipley. A lot of good RBs. Oh, my boy Blake. No way. Blake Watson came up. Oh, shit. Brendan Rice, McMillan, Cowing. Ooh, okay. Yeah, like, oh man. Washington, Baker. Jermaine Burton is such a sleeper. Like, people are really sleeping on Burton. I really like Burton. Um, Javon Baker, McMillan. These are my guys here. I'm gonna take Javon Baker. But I mean, look, this is the third round. Like the third round, you're getting like Polk, McMillan. Like for me, I like these guys, and maybe other people don't. But McMillan, Polk, Malik Washington, Burton. Like I like these guys. I think the NFL is gonna like these guys too. Jalen Coker, OD sleeper. I love Jalen Coker. This guy can pluck the fucking ball. See a guy that can run routes and just kind of go and pluck the ball. Jalen Coker's nice. Shitty situation, obviously, with his school and quarterback, but that guy can play. Right? It's the next breed RB with a mix of CJ2K and Eckler. Yeah, I like Wright a lot. I think the NFL is gonna like him a lot too. Just what they can do with him, what they can design for him. So yeah, Burton is a crazy sleeper. Off the field stuff. Yeah, I heard some shit about that too, but we'll see. We shall see. We'll see what situation he finds himself into. But Jalen Wright, Braylon Allen, Lloyd goes, Shipley, Estime. Yeah, I mean, pretty typical so far. Ricky Pearsall's getting a lot of a lot of buzz now. He was a guy that I liked way back in February to keep an eye on, and he just has been flying up the boards. Roman Wilson too, but he's got to find a perfect situation. I think he's mainly like a pure slot dude. Corley's interesting too. Like, what are you doing with Corley? Like, most of Corley's touches were all like, what's the word I'm looking for? Designed for him. Like everything was just like designed to him. Everything was close to the line of scrimmage, behind the line of scrimmage for Corley. He had a shit ton of catches. I'll give him that. But Burnham, McMillan, our guys will almost get everywhere. Yep. I agree, bro. I agree. I think McMillan and Polk both are very much going underrated. Yeah, Blake Watson, bro. I just posted my running back rankings. I had him on my sleepers. Him, Rasheen Ali, Laub. Like, I like these dudes, bro. Jalen Coker is like the wide receiver that nobody's talking about. I'll try and post something on him during the week. But yeah, just remember that name, Jalen Coker. He might be a late drafted wide receiver, but I don't think you've heard almost anybody talk about it, except for maybe Steve Smith. But haven't really heard anybody else talk about Jalen Coker. But I like him. You have to actually watch like the film. You actually have to watch him, and you can see the route running skills or the way he just goes and gets the ball, the way that he can just grab it out of the air. There goes Burton. What'd I do? Shit. Isaiah Davis is another one. Schrader, Gore, Lab, Kamani Vidal is another one. But yeah, Blake Watson. Who else we got here? Cowing, Johnny Wilson, Jamari Thrash. I like, but we're gonna go running back here. Isaiah Davis is another one that I like too. Let's go Garendo. That's late. I think they're gonna like Garendo. His measurables obviously killed the combine. There's my boy Rasheen Ali down there. Tyrone Tracy is another good one. Dylan Johnson. I feel like he wasn't even like 100% back when he did the wasn't 100% healthy when he did the combine. So I feel like his shit dipped a little bit. But I like Dylan Johnson as well. I didn't specify Diaz. You could take tight end if you want. I honestly don't give a shit about the tight ends outside of Brock Bowers. Like, I mean, Sanders, yeah, but I'm about to take my tight end 2 in the 4th. Who are you taking? The Sanat, Theo Johnson, Stover. I like Wiley actually as a little sleeper too. If you're talking about tight ends, but they usually turn out to nothing if they get drafted like later rounds. Brevin Spanford. Combine week Orlando. I seen him drafted in the late second. Yeah. People are going crazy. I know he didn't have like a crazy ton of production, but like his skill set could translate well. Like, can a team find some kind of role for him? We'll see what they think about him. Obviously, the NFL draft is going to tell us a lot more, and we'll be able to know kind of what's going on. But there it is, 4 rounds. I mean, the 3rd round, like wide receivers are just nuts. I mean, Burton in the 4th. We just need the draft to happen to kind of like set everything. That's really what we need. I mean, Pearsall, Walker, Leggett, Wilson, McConkey, Franklin, like. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see Penix and Nix up in the 1st round too, if they get drafted in the 1st. Just did a tight end preview podcast. Yep. Okay. Awesome, Jamie. Who's your sleeper pick, Diaz? Garendo? Right. Who else? What's your ideal outcome for the Vikings in the draft? I don't know why, but I like Penix for whatever reason. I just do. I think he's just an accurate quarterback. He's a good quarterback. We've got the receivers. We've got the weapons. We don't need him to do crazy much. We don't need him to run. Like, we just need him to fucking throw the ball where he's supposed to do it, where he's supposed to throw it. So, like, should JJ go like that high? Like, we've got what, the 11 and the 23, I think it is. Like, do we wait until the 23 to grab a quarterback at that point? Like, and see if somebody falls, or do we take one at 11? Like, I don't think we need to move up. Like, I'm not with moving up, honestly. I'm not with like giving up assets to move up. I don't think. Maybe if it's Drake May, I mean, I don't know, but I'd rather just wait, like, because I could live with a Penix, like, or a McCarthy, as long as we're not moving up. Like, I might not love McCarthy, but I don't know. I mean, he's got weapons around him. I mean, we didn't love Brock Purdy. Nobody did, but he's got weapons around him. So you just don't know. McCarthy is a guy that's always been, like, they ran the football, like, protect the football, run the ball, do what you're supposed to when we ask of you, and that's it. So I don't know. I like Penix. If we move up, like, I'd like to get May. I don't really want to move up for JJ. If we're moving up, like, give me May. Like, I'll at least live with that. But yeah. Vikings are punting QB and drafting Odunze. I don't think so, but Kev said that's why he likes leagues that do the rookie draft before the NFL draft. Yeah, it just depends on your league, right? There are those more advanced leagues where, you just like that aspect of not knowing where guys are going. That could be an advantage and a disadvantage, right? Could pick a bunch of nobodies or pick a bunch of guys that wind up in the right places. So I agree with that. He did extend plays and make accurate throws on the run. I give him that. I just don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't know if he deserves to go like that high, like the top 5, top 6. Like, does he really deserve to go that high? That I don't know. I don't know if, like, I guess we just haven't seen enough. Like, does he have the potential? Like, maybe. I mean, I don't know. Again, I'm not no NFL scout, but I feel like I wanted to see more. But at the same time, when you're talking about the Vikings in particular, where we have all these pieces around you, like you're not being thrown in somewhere where it's like, all right, you have to perform, and you've got fucking, Adam Thielen and like the Panthers wide receiver core. Like you don't, like you have weapons. So like we've seen what we can do with what's his name? The fuck was our dumbass quarterback back then, and then was garbage after. But took us to the playoffs. Obviously, we lost, but he wasn't great, but got the job done. So same format as stated. Trying to cook up some trades. Devonta in the 107. Devonta in the 107 for AJ Brown. What other picks did you have, Chris? Did you have the 109 or something like that too? I can't find where you had it, but let me know what picks you had. I want to go higher than AJ Brown though. Let me attack those other teams first. Attack the CDs, or I think you have CD actually. Attack the Amon-Ra's, the JJs, the Chases first before you do that. But who else could possibly get hurt in the draft? Just a couple other guys that I had written down. Zamir White, right? Everybody's up on Zamir White. I mean, Jacobs is not there no more. They're going to wind up bringing somebody in, or they should at least. If they don't, they don't. But are you willing to make that bet where you can probably get out for a decent amount of, a decent price right now? And even still, like when Zamir White did get the work last year, he was those last 4 weeks. I mean, he finished RB 12, RB 17, RB 16, RB 20. Like he didn't even finish really. He finished in the top 12 once. Now, could it be a better offense? Maybe. Could he score more tutties? Maybe. But I don't know why we're, putting all our eggs in the basket for like a Zamir White type. So yeah, Zamir White is a guy that you have to be careful with. He can absolutely get nuked in this draft if they wind up drafting a running back. $104, $107, $109, $202. Sent out trades for JJ and Chase. All right, perfect. And Puka. Okay. See if you can do the 109 before you do the 107. Like start lower. Marquise Brown value will drop. Yes, that's another guy I was going to talk about too. Marquise Brown, is his value going to drop when they draft a wide receiver? Right? We don't know what's happening with Rashid Rice. I mean, that's a whole nother story. Again, I think he's just going to be suspended. I think he'll be fine. I don't think he's going to jail. First time like offender. He hasn't been in trouble before. I mean, good in the community. He wound up getting some kind of probation, whatever. I don't think he's actually going to jail. But at the same time, I am no lawyer. I have no clue about the laws, just from what I've read. But for me, I'm still trying to buy Rashid Rice at this moment. Anybody who's scared, like I'll take him. But yeah, Marquise Brown, does that drop when they wind up drafting a wide receiver? On top of that, Marquise Brown's only got the 1-year deal. Like people are forgetting, it's a 1-year deal, right? Kidda, for you 1-year guys out there, like Marquise Brown's on a 1-year deal. So does he wind up going back to the Chiefs? I mean, so yeah, his value is going to drop for sure. Marquise Brown would definitely be another one. Rachaad White is an interesting one because they did admit already. They did say that they wanted to bring someone else in, right? We know Rachaad White is not great between the tackles. He's not efficient at all, but he's still going to be the pass catching guy. They still got Baker Mayfield. They still got the same type of offense. So Rachaad White is still going to be, he's still going to be relatively very good, but is he going to finish in the top 5? Probably not if they draft somebody. If they do draft somebody, that value is going to go down, right? So can you come off of him now where people might still perceive him as that top 5-ish guy? You could always buy back in, right? The price is going to go down as I'm telling you right now. They wind up drafting somebody, the price goes down. Now you go and buy Rachaad White, right? Buy him for cheap. Can you buy him for cheap now where people are taking that into consideration where, they are going to draft somebody? He's another guy that can get hurt as well. Zay Flowers is another one. Do they draft a wide receiver? Does Zay Flowers possibly get hurt? I think we talked about Zay Flowers a few times. One of those guys where use that value so that you can tier up at that position. Can we tier up into the next tier using Zay Flowers? James Cook, right? Are they just rolling with James Cook? We think James Cook is going to get the the workhorse type role. I think they bring somebody in for that. They bring in some kind of back to take that first and second down work. Somebody that can run between the tackles. Because we've seen Cook, like, he's just not used at the goal line, right? He used basically just the middle of the field from the 20 to 20. Not as much in the goal line where you want him to, but last year, like, he did get a ton of work with the new offensive coordinator towards that end of season. So, can you come off and use that value right now? We always talk about coming off at the peak, right? At that peak value. Can we get off of James Cook at this peak value? And he's another one kind of like Rachaad White. Like, can we even buy back in once the draft does happen and they do draft a running back? Can we buy back in at that point at the cheaper price? Rachaad White is going to be what we wanted Pollard to be early in his career. Sell Rachaad White. Yeah, for sure. I mean, he had a great season last year. Again, great player, but we know he's not efficient. We know that they want to get somebody in there to actually run between the tackles. We know they want to bring somebody else in. He's still going to put up production because he's going to get the pass catching work. We know Baker's dumping it off to him. Daniel Jones. Yep. Daniel Jones. Absolutely. They draft a quarterback. I mean, Daniel Jones his value is already wrecked, though. Nobody believes in Daniel Jones. He doesn't even have value as we speak. Matter of fact, nobody wants Daniel Jones. Is it the time to buy Daniel Jones right now where he's just relatively cheap? People think they could draft a quarterback. Can we just get Daniel Jones thrown in a trade somehow? It's just a throw in. But yeah, Daniel Jones, of course, another guy that can absolutely lose it if they wind up drafting a quarterback. We talked about DJ Moore, Zay Flowers. I mean, Brian Robinson's not necessarily safe either. Like, that's a whole new coaching staff, whole new regime in there too. I mean, I don't think B-Rob is safe either. Jameson Williams, we talked about a little bit earlier, right? Do they draft a wide receiver? So that's another one. Last year, Rachaad White was a huge buy. Yep. Selling them this year. Absolutely. Profit on peak value. That's it. We're just playing the game, guys. We are just playing the market. We're gathering assets. We're making our team better, right? There are other guys that are going to put up Rachaad White type production out there. Accrue the value so that you can build your team or so that you can buy some of those elite players when you want. You can buy yourself a championship team, right, kidda? I think they'll go up if they don't draft a QB. Daniel Jones, it probably does go up if they don't draft a QB because you just feel safe now. Like, okay, he's the quarterback. He's the starting quarterback. So people are going to just feel safe about it. So for sure. Absolutely. Who are some other names? The Bills wide receivers, right? Shakir, Curtis Samuel. Once they draft a wide receiver in the first, hopefully, which they should, or they draft a couple second round guys. But yeah, Khalil Shakir, Curtis Samuel, those guys' values you're going to see drop as well once they draft a rookie quarterback. Quentin Johnson, you'll see as well. Even though we know that they're probably going to draft a wide receiver, Quentin Johnson is the only guy there. But that's going to be nuked as well as soon as they get a wide receiver in there. Or even Bowers. Even if it's Bowers that goes in there, Quentin Johnson values goes down. How about Isaiah Pacheco? Do they really not bring anybody in over there? That value is going to go down. They bring in a running back. They've got to bring in somebody. I don't think they want Pacheco to be kind of that third down guy. I mean, the all three down guy, like Ramondre Stevenson, another one. Do they draft a running back there? Does his value get hit a little bit? There's a ton of spots where guys could be getting nuked in value. And this is why we don't buy running backs in the offseason unless they're your top, right? Brees Hall, Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan, right? CMC, those type of guys. Other than that, you're not buying running backs until after the draft, unless they're like let me rephrase that. You're not trying to fill your roster with running backs that you think are going to do something. Like, I'm buying running backs of like the Antonio Gibsons. Like, I'm paying a couple thirds, a couple fourths for Antonio Gibson type running backs. Those are the type of guys that I'm trying to buy with my multiple, third or fourth round picks. When you have a multitude of picks, use some of those picks to draft, to get a guy like Antonio Gibson if you can. Trade accepted. All right. Awesome. Joku Gibson receivers received the 112, 209, 212, 312. Now I could bank that value, pour into another wide receiver or a pick tier up. I have the 104. Yeah. Exactly. Now you've got some value that you can use. I'm gonna hit up every top wide receiver manager, RB, etc. I can replace tight end easily. Absolutely. I'm with you, bro. Which I'd hate to be in a dynasty league with Stevie because he thinks the same way I do on value. I mean, right? Everybody's a little bit different how you want to play, but I find that when you have value, you can literally do anything that you want. You can use any strategy that you want when you have value to move around, on your team, which is why I don't like to keep the value on my running backs. I like to keep them at wide receivers. I'll buy some running backs when the time is right, but I want it in a form that is not going to like decrease in value with injuries or, players getting drafted there. Like, it's not smart to not have value on your team. You're just limiting yourself in what you can do, and you're limiting yourself from recouping or recovering when you have an injury. You might be going all in and all out, but then you get an injury and shit hits the fan. And now what do? You don't have any value on your team. You can't split somebody into two, right? You can't recoup the guy that you lost for the season. And a lot of times it's not always one injury. It's multiple injuries start hitting you, right? At first it's a running back. Then it's your wide receiver. He's got a hammy. So now it's stretching out weeks. Then it's your quarterback that goes down. Right. And now all of a sudden you're in the bottom 6 of the stand, and then you gave up your first round pick already because you wanted to go and buy some, veteran, some veteran wide receiver or running back or something, or you got no first for whatever reason. It happens all the time. We think our team is good until we get to the season and guys start playing and guys start getting injured, and you slowly start seeing like your team falling apart. And then you're like, oh, fuck, like, what am I going to do? Would you give up Gabe Davis for Antonio Gibson, half PPR bench spot? I mean, how deep is the format? How many starters are you doing? How many starters are you using here? I mean, I probably want Gibson plus. Like, I don't think you could probably get Gibson plus for for Gabe Davis. I don't know. Start 8. I mean, if it's a start 8, I don't know if you're ever starting Antonio Gibson. So, I mean, are you ever even starting Gabe Davis? You're not starting either of them, really. If you just want the running back, like, that's fine. Give me the running back. Can I get a little piece on top of Gibson to make me feel better about giving up Gabe? Because there's nobody else in Jacksonville other than Kirk and Ingram. So Gabe's going to catch some bombs, talk it up. Literally just told someone today not to buy RB. He bought Pacheco and someone for the 104. It's just not smart. It's just not smart. I mean, look at Isaiah Pacheco's production so far. And he's been the main dude. Like, there's been nobody else there so far. He's been the main dude. And he's finished RB, 37 and RB 15. So, I don't know. Just depends how much you're paying, really. That's all. It all depends on the price. Like, I'm fine with any of these RBs. It just depends on what price you got to pay for them, right? What even is Gibby's outlook? Gibby's outlook is a pass catcher who might get some work. I mean, We know they don't give the workload to really anybody. Obviously, Stevenson had that workload, what was it, 2 years ago? But that was because of a multitude of injuries and situation. It wasn't just Stevenson was getting the workload from the jump. Like James White got done for the year that year. So I think Gibby's going to be a pass catcher. If they bring in a rookie QB, can that be good as like a check down? Like, are they throwing at Gibby often? I mean, Gibby's going to get a little bit of work. He's just a guy that, especially if you're going 0 RB, that you can kind of just plug in, play there in like your RB2 slot. If you are, trying to build up your team or just taking advantage of other positions, or just a guy to just have on your bench. What if Stevenson gets hurt? Then Gibson is the guy over there. You just never know with running back. So it's always good to have running backs on your bench. Irish Massive, what up, brother? What rookie pick should I look for in return when dealing Russ? Like Russ Wilson? Fuck, man. Lucky if you can get a second right now. Because a lot of people like Fields and think he's going to wind up taking over. I mean, I'd probably take any second almost. But you've got to find somebody that's going to be willing to pay. Like, can you find somebody that needs a QB too? Like, that's desperate enough to give you, some kind of early mid second. I mean, fuck. But can you give something on top of Russ? Like, can you go out and give it? Like, do you have a mid second or something like that where you can get into like the end of the first round or some shit? Like, give up Russ in the mid second and get like a 110, 111. I mean, find somebody that's desperate for a QB maybe. It's almost like you got to just like get creative. I mean, Russ in the third for a second. Something like that. Like, maybe you have to add on to Russ to get the second, but that's probably what I'd be trying to do if you could. If you really want to get rid of him. If you don't need to get rid of him, I mean, hope that he winds up playing, has a good game, and then get rid of him at that point. But I'm probably adding something on top of Russ to go and get whatever it is that I want. Is it a pick that I want? Is it a player? That's probably what I'm doing. Yeah, hoping for a second. Yeah, we're hoping for a second. But, you might have to just throw something in there. Do you have a couple thirds to play with? Can you throw a third in for you to be able to get the second? I mean, I've been able to get a lot of deals done like that where you're just, they're not necessarily worth a second or a back end first, but can I throw something on top to make that manager feel better about giving that up? So we're trading Pickens for Rashid Rice and the 305. Oof. That's tough. I don't know if I want to risk a Pickens just because of like where he's currently kind of valued. Like, I'm all for buying Rashid Rice right now, but I don't think I want to pay Pickens for it. You know what I mean? I feel like Pickens is still might be a little bit, I don't want to say safer because I think Rashid's coming back. But again, we don't know. So is it worth risking Pickens for Rashid right there? Probably not. Probably not. Can we buy back in? Because you might be even able to get Rashid Rice for cheaper. Like, what if they do draft a wide receiver? Right now, you got Hollywood, you've got this other guy, you've got Rashid Rice missing, who knows, maybe 6 games, whatever it is. So can I add something onto Pickens to go get to get up into that next tier? Can I get into that next tier with Pickens? Can I add something else? I'd probably just go after something else. I don't think I don't want to spend Pickens, I think, Jonathan. That's all. The value is relatively the same. It definitely is, for sure. But do you want to take the chance with Rice or just use Pickens right now? I think more people might at the moment want Pickens. A lot of people just hate Rashid Rice. I mean, I just think you can do more with Pickens, and this would just be a time where I'm just trying to tier up. Can I tier up, right? Russ is the quarterback. He's done great with, some of the wide receivers he had, like DK Metcalf and Cortland Sutton. So Pickens, Russ is the quarterback, right? Especially if he's going to wind up starting that first game. I mean, you might be able to get more out of Pickens. So for that reason alone, I'm just going to say to hold on to Pickens for me. But I wouldn't be mad if you just wanted to take Rashid Rice. Like the 211. Yeah, I want more than that, though, for Russ. I mean, he's still most likely going to be the starter for, I mean, who knows how many games. But like I said, can you add something on top, so you can get a second? Or can you go out a year? Can you get a 25 second, right? A 26? Anything. especially if you just want to get rid of him. You like Michael Wilson? I think he could be a decent wide receiver too behind Marvin if Arizona drafts him. I mean, don't forget you got Trey McBride over there too, Marty. So I like Michael Wilson. He's never really been able to stay healthy. He's a decent wide receiver. Like you said, obviously there's value to be had where, if it's Marvin, if it's McBride, then you got Wilson as like the other guy. I'm not willing to bet on it. I'm willing to pitch that to somebody else to come off of Michael Wilson. But I would just get out on Michael Wilson for the simple fact that there's nobody else there. The value is kind of particularly high right now, but we know they're going to bring somebody in. So for me, let me come off of Michael Wilson. He's another one. Can I add can I add something on top to get a draft pick or a different player? If you're a competing team and have extra picks after the 301, 303 for Nick Chubb and panicking owners. Yeah, that's another thing too. I mean, listen, we can't make all these picks, guys, and they're not high percentage hits, these third round picks, these fourth round picks. We have to understand the Tank Dells, the Pukas, those guys are outliers. The Brock Purdy's, they're outliers. That doesn't happen all the time. Let these other people chase some of these guys in these later rounds while you're picking up some of these production. Pickens is definitely safer. Yeah, for sure. For sure. But yeah, guys, throw any last questions you guys got before I get up out of here. Buy him for a late second, early third. I'm just not. I don't want to pay that. I mean, he is. He's got pretty good draft capital. He was a good wide receiver. I don't know. I feel like I can do more with, some kind of early second round pick. If I can add something in, get me an early second, I'll take that. And I'm also open to just holding Michael Wilson. I mean, hold him and wait out. Right? If you can't get anything great, then you're holding and you're waiting for that right moment. You're waiting for that one game. You're waiting for those 2 games in a row that he has good production, and then you're moving off. All right, can I join you live? I'm about to get off right now, but I do usually get on with Bogey after, so I'll send you the link if anything, Jamie, if you just want to hop on after and talk. But yeah, I'm about to be out. But yeah, throw any last questions you got in the chat before I get up out of here. Appreciate everybody coming out tonight. It was a good draft. It was a good talk, good convo. A lot of shit that's going to wind up changing in the next couple weeks as we get to the NFL draft. I mean, we're literally almost there. Literally almost there. So what craziness is going to happen? What trades are going to come through? What players are going to get nuked? And a lot of the guys that we like are just going to go to bad situations. Some of these receivers, some of these running backs, they're not going to go to good situations. And that's just part of it. That's just what's going to happen. All right, guys, let me get up out of here. I will see y'all next week. It was a good show. Appreciate y'all. And we'll see y'all next Tuesday. Peace.